Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark. I hope you all are having a wonderful day or evening. In today's story, OP found out his wife cheated on him with a guy she met at a bar and now claims that she wants to have kids with him. Now let's get into today's story to find out what happened. I, 37 male, have been in a relationship with my wife, 35, for 15 years and married for 5. We have 2 children, ages 3 and 1. On December 13th of last year, she met the AP at a bar about 2 blocks from our apartment. She had been in a state of depression for a while preceding this and was self-medicating with heavy alcohol abuse. She had gone to the bar for a drink and met the AP. They struck up a conversation. He listened to her troubles, and they exchanged phone numbers. He gave her some weed. She was too drunk and high to drive the 2 blocks back to our apartment, so she called me. I had been calling her fairly frantically all evening, as she had failed to pick up the kids from daycare and had effectively vanished. She was so far gone on the phone that she had to ask the AP standing next to her, as she called me, where she was so I could come and pick her up. When she finally sobered up, she simply said that the AP had been a friendly person who had been concerned when she had drunk too much. The day she received some texts from him, including a couple telling her that she should come to his apartment and that he was waiting for her. He also began making calls to her phone. After a few ring-throughs with her agreements, I answered the phone myself and told him that she was married and that he should F off. He said that he was just calling to make sure she was okay, since she had been in a bad way the day before. I gave my wife the phone and she told him that she was okay and to stop calling. For the next week, I thought that was the end of things with him. On December 20th, we went with the kids to visit my in-laws for Christmas. On the 23rd, day 2, my wife's parents went out to finish Christmas shopping. While they were out, I heard my wife talking to someone on the phone. My 3-year-old son, our 3-year-old, was in the room with her, and she was having my son say hi to whoever she was speaking to. I asked her who it was, and she said she was talking to one of her friends from grad school. Something about the situation did not sit quite right with me. So when she went to put her son to bed, I found her phone and sure enough, the call had been to the AP. And there was a history of texts from the 13th to that evening, with some obvious gaps where messages had been deleted. The most recent conversation was about our kids, including some photos of our children, and ended with the AP stating how much he would like my wife to have his babies. I confronted her immediately, and she burst into tears and asked me to please not leave her. What has followed has been 2 months of lies and false promises to end things. She has told me that she wants to be reconciled and then gone right back to the affair. She pays verbal homage to go marital counseling, but only as a tactic to delay and to continue with him. She has shocked me with the casualness with which she can lie to my face. She has continued her behavior up until this very evening as I write this. She is with him at his house right now. This week, I'm going to be talking to a lawyer and initiating a divorce. It's astounding how quickly and how thoughtlessly she has discarded our lives together. I'm ashamed to have spent so much of my life with her. If it weren't for our kids, who I love with all my heart, I would count all 15 years with her as an utter waste. OP, I'm so sorry. You're in the middle of all this right now. Please keep in mind one thing. You can be a super dad with or without your wife. You continue to be there for your kids and your connection will grow stronger. As for the AP and your wife, let them live their fake fantasy. You are better than them both combined. The insincerity of their relationship will come to haunt them. She will come back, but you will be gone, living and being a great dad. Good luck. Now let's get into today's second story. I've been married to my wife for a little over a year now. We've been together for almost 13 years. We have 2 children, ages 2 and 6, and we have a problem. My wife always seemed to be a happy woman, the life of the party, and a social beast. But she changed in the past few years. Her first pregnancy was really tough on her, and while giving birth to our oldest daughter, she developed a trauma. She got into therapy again and slowly rebuilt her positive flow, or so I thought. During these times, I noticed that she stopped talking to me about her negative thoughts if I admitted how much she hurt me with them. We had a second girl, and this time she did feel it, for about 3 or 4 months. Then the shame hit her that she hadn't felt this with our oldest girl, and in secret, she started having dark thoughts again. It turned out that her thoughts of suicide went from unwanted to welcome. We got married at the end of 2016, and it turns out that her feelings during that period were darker than ever. Before our marriage, she had met a man, a tattoo artist who was 15 years older and was working on her tattoo, something to remember her dark period and her strength, and was married himself. They started an affair 2 weeks after our marriage and met in secret until I caught her this January. While digging through her lies, as she didn't want to tell me the whole truth, I found out that she had been in contact with 3 other men. She had sexted with 2 but only had deep and meaningful conversations with the last one. The weeks after that, she confessed to me that she had been very suicidal and that her meetings with that man felt like she could escape her reality and live in a bubble for a few hours. Nobody but me knew of her dark thoughts, and she had hidden her darkest drives even from me. We had a ton of arguments, but she told me she didn't want to lose me and that she loved me, that she made a mistake, and that she was afraid that she was broken beyond repair. She had been seeing a therapist because she was suffering from burnout, but she had only told her 10% of the truth. When I demanded she tell the therapist everything, they told her that the case was too hard for her kind of therapy. At the time, the verdict was still a postnatal depression that devolved into PTSD. A few weeks ago, she started with another clinic, and they quickly stated that the verdict was wrong. PTSD didn't fit because she didn't have trauma and because her thoughts were welcome and not intrusive. She felt at peace when browsing online for ways to kill herself or deciding what music should be played at her funeral. Currently, the verdict is dysthymic depression, and she'll be starting treatment soon. But now for the hard part. We've spent 1.5 months trying to get past the fact that she had an affair, and I was slowly giving it a place that didn't cause pain all the time. The betrayal was painful, especially because she was always the one who crucified people who did this and who started accusing me of having an affair the past year. I slowly got into a spot where I could manage, but 2 weeks ago, I confronted her with the fact that she had only shown remorse 2 times. That I felt as if I was fighting harder for this than her. That I felt as if I was the only one who had cheated and who was suffering, while she was being angry and defensive 24/7. She told me she felt it and that she would try. But 30 minutes later, she called me upstairs and told me it was over, that she loved me and the kids, but that her feelings were dead. Her trust was gone. I know the stress of being caught and having to hear that she has dysthymic depression is causing her to block her emotions, to go on the offense instead of admitting to what she did. But it feels as if she's making a decision while being in her darkest place, as remote from her true feelings as possible. She has agreed to go to couples counseling. We have our first session tomorrow, but I'm really looking for advice on how to handle her depression. And she has already stated that she wants it to work out with all her heart, but currently has no faith that it will help. She's dead inside. When talking to other people, she wants to let the whole world know what she did to crucify herself. She keeps stating that there are 2 sides to the story, and it's no excuse, but I felt so alone, thereby forgetting that I was just as alone as her in the relationship. And when I talk to other people about what happened, I'm mostly focusing on my mistakes, not hers. It feels as if she blames me for what she did, for what she became. I'm not the kind of person who likes to be on the wrong end of the stick, but I've quickly found out these past weeks that if I confront her or show too much anger, she withdraws and pushes me away or gets angry. I know she's not without feelings. During the time we spent apart would be crying, taking long walks, and mentally unstable. She presents herself for what she did to me and our children for the pain she caused us and hates what she's become. So how on earth do I handle her depression and adultery? Show her that I love her and that I care, without being a burden or giving her the feeling that I'm pushing her. We've been living apart these past 2 weeks, and she keeps telling me that she does love me, but that the spark is gone. But she wants it to return. But in the meantime, she can't be around me. How do I cope with her aggression and defensiveness without losing myself? How do I show her that I'm not the man that I became? How do I make her understand that the burden of not being good enough, or my wife wouldn't have preferred death, was slowly eroding me? Update. So we had our first couples therapy a few hours ago, and it was an eye-opener. Yes, she is depressed and has severe issues, and no, that does not excuse her behavior. She told the two therapists and me bluntly that she lied to me when she had sex with me the past few weeks. She told me repeatedly that she would never be intimate against her will, but during that session, she told us that she felt obliged to do it because of her mistake. Hearing that she lied about something as primal as this, even though I asked her and never forced her, angered me tremendously. Yes, she feels shame, but not guilt. It's all focused on her own pain and sorrow. And the fact that everyone who knows about this judges her, the other parents at school, her parents, mine, and our friends. The shame triggers her depression, and in turn, that triggers her anger. She's just spouting her own rationale for having an affair, a story that she's practiced for over a year in her own mind, and usually in an angry state of mind. And that's something that should and will stop. During the session, she was confronted several times by the therapists on why she was so angry, on why her pain and regret focused on the literally small things that were wrong in our marriage, instead of the things she did wrong in the same marriage. I'll wait until the next session before confronting her with anger at her total lack of respect for me and our kids, because I reckon the things like that can be best discussed with a therapist in the room and not one-on-one. If I confront her myself, I'll only cause her to dig herself in and lock the doors. If there's a neutral party present, she won't have that chance. Yes, I still think there's a chance that we can save this, and that's still what I want, but there has to be respect from both sides. I'm not someone to pick a fight with the mother of my children, the woman I still love, but she has to understand that if she walks, it's the end. She does not get to decide if we remain friends. She does not get to decide if and how I heal myself. If she walks out of this, she loses me. I'll remain civil for the kids, take care of the finances, and scrub her out of my life. There will be no bond between us, and I'll use every part of my energy to rebuild my life and be there for the kids. She doesn't get to decide if she'll be a factor in it. I do. OP, I'm really sorry about what you're going through. For the past 6 years, you've exhausted yourself trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed and isn't responding to your efforts at all. You are bearing all the emotional weight of your relationship. I know that she has depression and clearly has some deep mental health issues, but depression doesn't cause someone to treat their partner badly or cheat on them. Every single act of disrespect and unkindness is a choice that she makes. If staying is what you want, at least take care and look after yourself more. Get in tune with how much this whole thing is affecting you and be a better version of yourself. So, if she finally decided to move on regardless, you would know you've tried your very best. I wish you all the best with your situation, OP. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on today's stories. Take care, everyone.